When Emily loved me, it was intense, even costing her her legs. But 3 years into marriage, she was passionately involved with her male therapist. They supported each other through tough rehab sessions, crying, laughing, breaking down, and rebuilding together. To heal both body and mind, they traveled, saw beautiful sunsets, drank the strongest booze, and attended emotional concerts. In my darkest moments, it was Henry who stood by me. I lost my legs for her, but he got me back on my feet. The day Emily fully recovered, amid the flowers and applause, I handed her both the company's stock agreement and the divorce papers. She was in disbelief, angry, and disappointed. "I risked my life for you. How can you leave me?" she cried. Calmly, I pulled a red-eyed Henry nearby and joined their hands together. "May you both get what you wish for and stay together." Later, she broke her legs again, just so I would see her once more. I threw up violently outside the booth. After composing myself, wiping away tears, and fixing my makeup, I entered the room with a smile. Inside was a cacophony of laughter and clinking glasses. It was going to be tough. 2 hours later, outside the restaurant in pouring rain, I huddled under the portico, waiting for my assistant to grab the car. Larry, the only child of the Booth family's uncle, came over with a graceful woman in his arms. "Why work so hard? Think getting this piece of land will secure Emily's position?" he taunted. I glanced at him casually. "Yep, as long as I'm around, she won't be replaced." Tonight, he was a defeated competitor, a bit rattled. I ignored his stiff face and got in the car. The assistant handed me a beautiful gift box. Today was the 3rd anniversary of Emily and I's marriage. I had ordered this jade bracelet a month ago. If tonight's dinner meeting hadn't been so crucial, I wouldn't have left Emily home alone on such a day. Luckily, we got the project. The Booth's watchful tigers and snakes would settle down for a while. I called Emily. No answer. The rain coursing down the glass made me a bit anxious. The assistant tried to reassure me with a smile from the front. "Mr. Chan said that watch you liked got bought by Emily. She's probably planning a surprise." Before entering the house, I adjusted my expression, not wanting her to see my fatigue and frustration. The living room was dim. Emily wasn't there. Only a wall lamp glowed faintly. From the therapy room at the end of the hall, I heard murmurs. I walked over and pushed open the ajar door. Emily and Henry were leaning together on the parallel bars, close, almost embracing. Henry looked flushed inexplicably, lowering his head. Emily was panting, a fine sheen of sweat on her forehead. "What are you doing?" My sudden voice startled Henry. He jumped, straightened up hurriedly, and said in panic, "Dave, why are you here suddenly?" I frowned. "This is my house. How is it sudden?" "Oh no, I didn't mean that. I just got startled. Don't mind me, Dave," he explained hastily, looking both helpless and pitiful. "Relax, he just said that casually. Not meaning to offend you," Emily interjected casually, her gaze passing by with a hint of displeasure. After her leg injury, her emotions were volatile, often sinking into lows and irritation. Usually, I'd follow along and console her. Sighing softly, I asked Henry, "Larry gets off at 5, right? Why is he still here at 8? Henry half hid behind Emily, tugging her shirt, without answering. Emily pursed her lips slightly and explained, "Oh, with the heavy rain, driving home isn't safe, so I suggested he stay over." I paused. "So, you've been working overtime on therapy?" Of course, Henry suddenly blurted out, "Emily has made great progress. I was just helping her with some extra exercises. When you came in and asked what we were doing, did you think?" He stopped, looking incredulous. "Dave, I'm a professional therapist. Please don't overthink." I stared at him quietly. "What are you accusing me of overthinking?" He raised his chin. "Because of therapy needs, Emily and I might have some actions that seem intimate from an outsider's perspective, but rest assured, it's all professional. I have no interest in Emily whatsoever." On hearing this, Emily's face flickered with annoyance, her tone impatient. "Dave, go ask Auntie to prepare a guest room. I'll have the driver take him home," I replied, surprising Emily with my direct refusal. intensifying her irritation. It's a stormy night. Even with a driver, it's not safe. Isn't that somewhat heartless? I looked down calmly. I just braved the rain to get home. Didn't find it unsafe. If I can do it, so can he. She hesitated, her eyes flickering, her tone softening. Did you get wet? I silently sighed, handing her the gift bag. Emily, happy anniversary. Emily stopped in her tracks, then seemed to remember something. A moment of panic on her face. Dave, I've been out of it lately. Completely forgot the date. I'll get you a gift tomorrow. She turned to Henry. Since the driver's here, let him take you home. No need for your family to worry. Henry paused for 2 seconds, nodded obediently. Sure, as long as it's not bothering the driver, I plan to leave anyway. He brushed his bangs as he spoke, briefly revealing the watch on his wrist, a watch I recognized. My heart sank. As he donned his jacket and left, he smiled at me. Dave, even though Emily forgot the anniversary gift, here's some good news. Today I helped her walk for 10 minutes. To me, that's the best gift, don't you think? I've seen him help Emily walk. Arms around her, her head against his chest, close as could be. 10 minutes of that, they really gave it their all. Lying in bed that night, Emily hugged me tightly, guilt and regret in her voice. Dave, how could I forget such an important day? Yell at me, it might ease my guilt. I closed my eyes, trying to hide my fatigue and helplessness, and asked softly, the watch Henry was wearing, did you give it to him? A momentary freeze washed over her arms. After a sullen moment, kisses fell on my forehead, eyes, and lips like a sudden rain. Intense but also a bit off balance. I didn't move or respond. After stopping, she said casually, oh, that cheap watch? Yeah, with my legs getting better, I got my assistant to buy a little gift, a reward for him. That watch, while not a top luxury, was still priced at $680,000. A far cry from cheap. Far from the kind of thing you'd casually give as a reward. Her chin rubbed gently against my shoulder. Dave, I know how driven you are with work, but could you spend more time with your wife? Are others more important than me? I looked steadily into her eyes for a long time, responding softly, all right, I promise you, I'll find more time to be with you. Emily, let's let Henry go. Her tender motions paused, her voice chilling. Why bring this up again for no reason? I'm in a crucial recovery phase, and Henry is diligent and responsible. I have no grounds to let him go, especially with his family's financial struggles. Damn, Emily, you know I love you so much I'd risk my life for you. What are you worried about? The phone on the bedside table buzzed several times. She released me to check it, turning her back while typing. Peering over briefly, I glimpsed the contact name, Henry. Emily wasn't wrong. I knew just how much she loved me. She's passionate and intense, loving me fiercely and for all to see. I met her at a party when she was 20, and she fell for me at first sight, beginning a 5-year pursuit. She was the booth's most cherished heir, gifted since childhood, adored by the business world. Though my family ran its business, compared to the booth's empire, we were nothing. That party, I was a product of my father's connections, trying to get our foot in the door. That night, I was dressed to the nines, an item on display, on the shelf for appraisal. Emily, bright-eyed and lively, stood before me, smiling. New here? Let me show you around. Her face, her eyes, her smile, they captured me. I thought it was pure serendipity. Emily made it the start of an extended pursuit. But I kept her at arm's length, rejecting her advances. She was saddened, eyes brimming with youthful sorrow. Dave, why can't you like me? Is it something I'm not doing right? No, compared to any suitor, her actions were more than enough. The university still talks about her antics. She once bought 30,000 roses and scattered them along the path to my dorm. That day, I staggered out of the library, overwhelmed, and there she was, with the breathtaking flower path and a smile. She won over everyone around me and knew my likes and dislikes by heart. I liked sweet and sour pork, but not onions, ginger, or garlic. Liked the color green and serious literature, but disliked sharp-nosed animals. In our senior year, I quietly took the IELTS, handled my study abroad paperwork, and flew to the UK without telling her, thinking I'd ended things decisively. But a week later, when I was lost on campus, there she was, looking slimmer but smiling brightly. Need some help? For 3 years in the UK, she made over 100 trips back and forth. During this time, she emerged victorious in a family power struggle, becoming the youngest head of her family. After returning to China, I took over my family's business. She went to great lengths to work with me, offering huge discounts without holding back. Over 5 years, she confessed her feelings 100 times, and I turned her down 200 times. No one understood why I didn't accept such a great woman. Not even Emily herself. She'd often sigh and ask, "Dave, what should I do with you? Why won't you just look at me?" Then came that day. For a collaboration project, she invited me to her new factory's opening ceremony. While we were sitting in the car, we watched as a braking truck came at us. Without hesitation, she shielded me with her body. Emily spent 20 days in the ICU. Her first words to me after coming out were, "I almost died, and while my soul floated, all I could think about was you. Dave, life is short, we shouldn't miss out. Marry me?" I touched her sunken face and, with tears in my eyes, nodded in agreement. The accident spared her life but left her unable to stand again. She'd always been a genius, a standout, the center of attention, and the most dazzling presence. Suddenly becoming disabled was a huge blow, dimming the light in her once bright eyes. To mend her wounds, I quickly organized a grand wedding. She stood on the stage with red eyes, gazing at me, her voice choked with emotion. "Dave, we're finally married." Everyone witnessed her chasing me for years, sighing and marveling at the story. Only Emily's mother sat quietly, her gaze distant and filled with sorrow. After the wedding, I devoted myself to Emily. By day, I sought doctors with her, and by night, I held her to sleep. She relied on me intensely. No one dared approach her during her spells of depression or outbursts, except for me. Only in my gentle embrace could she calm down from her mania and pain. A year later, her beloved grandfather passed away. Emily lost the greatest protector in her family. The Booth's rightful heirs and the larger branches began eyeing her rightful position. I handed over my family's company to my father and, with Emily's power of attorney, took on the role of interim CEO at the Booth's Group. These past 2 years, it felt like being in a dragon's lair. I navigated pitfalls, overcame obstacles, exhausted my mental strength, countless times buckling alone and countless times putting on a smile again. All because I wanted, on the day Emily stood again, to return to her everything she once had, intact. I wanted to see her, after healing, to be the woman everyone admired, with confident, bright eyes and a bold, radiant smile. When did things start to change? At that time, after visiting countless doctors, Emily's new therapy finally showed promise, and our doctor said home rehabilitation could begin. Henry, a professional therapist recommended by the clinic, came into Emily's life. Initially, she was extremely resistant to him. Cold, sarcastic, even mocking his cheap clothes and clumsy style. Henry, unfazed, kept appearing with a bright smile, like a sun warming everyone. He often reminded her how fortunate she was compared to others. He showed her me before you, talked about his tough childhood, his broken home, and how he grew into someone who loves life. One time, after a particularly painful therapy session, Emily lashed out. Henry didn't smile but watched her cry silently. The next day, he disappeared all day. That day, Emily flew into a rage, smashing everything in the therapy room. On the third day, Henry returned, smiling as always, and greeted her as if nothing happened. After that day, she gradually accepted him. She began cooperating with the training. From the therapy room at the end of the hall came his playful instructions, clear laughter, and their playful fights and reconciliations. Their bond grew. During that time, what was I doing? I was embroiled in the schemes and pressures from the Booth's uncles, conspiring to bring me down. I was working non-stop, facing predators every day. I didn't tell Emily any of it. Countless tired returns home saw me standing at the door, readying myself for her with a smile before entering. One weekend, with Emily's emotional breakdown echoing from the therapy room. I closed my laptop, ready to rush down. But no one came for me, only calls for Larry. I saw Henry emerge from the bathroom, shaking his head with a resigned smile before casually heading to Emily. In no time, her voice quieted. With suspicions about their relationship, signs were suddenly easy to catch. Like on the night of the meteor shower, in the aftermath of a perfect sunset, Henry posted, the shadows on the ground were strikingly close. Emily's cherished vodka was finished, or at the concert advertised for couples, their faces briefly on the big screen, full of smiles. After much thought, I suggested replacing Henry to Emily. Her reaction was mixed, surprised, puzzled, with a hint of anger. Seeing my leg can stand again, why switch therapists now? You know this is the worst time to switch, right? She said. I calmly replied, I talked to your doctor. If you stick with the therapy, changing therapists shouldn't be a big deal. No. Emily flatly refused for the first time. My recovery is going well. I don't see why you'd suggest such a thing when you know I'm so close to standing again. Don't you want me to get back to my old life? Her gaze flickered slightly as she continued. Dave, are you worried? Either way, I assure you, even if I resume as CEO, your family's business will still have all the resources and benefits it needs. At that, I said nothing. The tranquility of night, the gentle moonlight gracing her familiar profile. I told myself, wait a little longer. Wait for her to stand again, for her world to reopen. One weekend, we visited Emily's mother at her countryside villa. When Emily was 20, she lost her father and sister in a car accident, and after our wedding, her mother moved out there alone. During dinner, Emily occasionally checked her phone, slightly frowning. I spoke to her several times, but she seemed distant. Even when offering me food, a piece of ginger ended up in my bowl. Emily's mother observed the exchange, finally asking, Emily, any problems? Emily was silent before standing. A friend's family is having trouble. They once helped me, so I should go see. Emily's mother frowned. A friend? If it's about money, can't you just lend some? In your condition, how can you help? I'll have a look. I won't be long, Emily said unconvincingly, grabbing her cane and asking the driver to prepare the car. Removing the ginger from my bowl, I looked at her, softly asking, Emily, I'm not feeling well today. Can you not go? Her eyes wavered briefly before she looked down. You rest here with Mom, while I check things out. I won't be long. Without waiting for my reply, she hurried with her cane to the door. Her back looked eagerly impatient. Staring blankly after her, I was asked by Emily's mother, What's going on with you and Emily? I looked at her empty seat, quietly saying, I'm probably not around enough. After a long silence, Emily's mother sighed. I know it's tough for you. The Booths are ruthless, I know that. Emily had her grandfather's protection, but you've battled them alone for so long. It must have been hard on you, she said. Her candor touched me, eyes warmed with unshed tears. You know, I initially didn't want you and Emily together, but she loved you so much. The things she did for you, I saw them too. Now, since you're together, let the past go. Treasure the life you have now. After that, Emily's mother went upstairs. Alone at the table, I ate and pondered. I decided to get in the car and go find Emily. I saw her phone blowing up with messages earlier. Her friend? That's Henry. I didn't really have a plan when I hit the road. It felt more like a reflex. Standing in Henry's yard, I watched his drunk brother lift a chair and swing it at Emily's head. My blood froze. I almost passed out. Henry held an unconscious Emily, crying his eyes out. I snapped out, rushing over and shouting, Quick! Get the car over here. We rushed Emily to the hospital. The doctor said luckily it was just blood loss, no life-threatening injuries. She'd be fine once she woke up. While I took a call from Emily's mom in the hallway, she was frantic. Finally, she couldn't hold it and blurted, She became disabled because of you. Why didn't you take better care of her? You've already taken one daughter from me. Are you trying to take another? Her words cut deep. Choking on tears, I was a mess with memories flooding in. After calming down, I went to see Emily. Standing outside her room, I heard soft sobs and comforting whispers. Peeking in, I saw Henry hugging Emily, her arms gently wrapped around him, her face full of concern and tenderness. Then, Henry lifted his head and kissed her softly. Emily seemed startled for a second, her eyes fluttering. Then she deepened the kiss. Ignoring the scene unfolding, I numbly walked away towards the elevator. I stopped abruptly, turned on my heel, and headed back, pushing open the hospital room door. The mood had shifted. Henry lay on the bed, clinging to Emily's neck, mumbling softly. Emily was on top of him, head buried, both lost in a deep kiss. Henry looked up, meeting my eyes with a wide-eyed shock. He broke away, anxiously calling out, "Dave." Emily halted her movements, breathing heavily. She didn't turn around, her back rigid, frozen like a statue. The room fell into a heavy silence. "So, is this physical therapy too?" My voice came out calmer than I felt. "Blame it all on me. Emily got hurt protecting me. She's my hero. I just couldn't control myself." He got all worked up, rushing over to kneel in front of me. "It's on me, not Emily. Dave, hate me alone. Emily loves you so much. Don't be mad at her." I just stared at him coolly. When I didn't react, he slapped himself hard. "Is this enough, Dave?" I stayed silent. He gritted and slapped himself again, the room echoing with the sound. Henry wasn't holding back. Those slaps were powerful. "Enough!" Emily finally broke, shouting with frustration. She turned, speaking sharply to Henry, "Leave." Henry, swollen face and all, looked between Emily and me, shaking his head slowly. "No, if I don't let Dave vent his anger, what if he never forgives you? I don't care what happens to me." Emily avoided eye contact with me from the start. But now, she slowly looked at me. "Dave, she choked, unable to get the words out. Her fingers trembled against the white sheets, and she literally lost her voice. I knew she wasn't as put together as she seemed. I let out a soft sigh. Staring down at the pitiful Henry, I asked, "So, Larry, are you trying to force my forgiveness with self-humiliation? You think that's possible? Do you think you're significant? Confident in your kissing skills because you just made out? Confident enough to make decisions for her? Or do you believe she's head over heels in love with you, enough to break up with me right away?" "Dave," Emily snapped, her eyes flickering. Don't use those two words lightly." I chuckled, staring right at her. "Emily, but you were just kissing him. Don't say break up lightly? Then what were you two doing? Or do you just use him as some pastime? Any warm body would have sufficed." On the floor, Henry trembled slightly. Emily's voice was rough. "Dave, I acted on impulse." A confusing wave of emotions coursed through me, unsettling every part of me. Normally, a boyfriend in this situation might break down, get angry, lash out. But the cutthroat business world and mental shifts over the past 2 years left my emotions more guarded. Maybe deep down I expected this. Now all I felt was exhaustion and helplessness. Suddenly, I didn't want to be in this situation anymore. "If he won't leave, I will." Calmly saying these words, I turned and walked out. As soon as I stepped outside, I heard a loud thump from behind, like something heavy hitting the floor, followed by Henry's panicked shout, "Emily!" I didn't look back. That night, my assistant and I flew overseas for a meeting. The trip was supposed to last a week. To spend more time with Emily, I had planned for another executive to lead. Before boarding, to keep my emotions in check, I temporarily blocked Emily. A few days later, after a dinner event, I returned to the hotel, and Emily's mom called. She paused for a long time before speaking. It was a slip for Emily. That man's gone from the company now. Emily has always had high standards, never faced setbacks. She was protected by her dad and sister. Emotionally immature, especially after losing them. After she started recovering, she was reckless. Her injury was a big blow. She got a little wild. "Dave, Emily's sick. Since you left, she's had a high fever, deliriously calling your name. Everyone takes a wrong turn sometimes. You know how much she cares about you. Don't just paint her with one brush. Please, For her becoming disabled for you, for Gloria's sake. She started to choke up. Mom, I interrupted. I'm here for business. I'll be back tomorrow. As I hung up, my phone slipped from my hand, hitting the carpet. I stared in shock at my own hand, shaking uncontrollably. That night, curled up on the couch, I spent the night wide-eyed, bathed in cold, silent moonlight. After the airport, I didn't head straight to the hospital. First, I met with Henry. In the park, we sat across a stone table from each other. He wore a cocky half-smile, full of defiance. So? Fired me, tried to bury me, and now, Dave, you're here to gloat? I studied the man for the first time. Not bad-looking, but not particularly handsome or charismatic. Emily's seen her share of attractive guys. I was popular since school, had plenty of admirers. How did she fall for him? I brushed some leaves off my sleeve and spoke slowly. A professional therapist, acting inappropriately with your patient. This isn't my doing, but you're not undeserving. Be grateful I'm not vindictive, or your situation could be worse. Henry's chest heaved, raising his chin defiantly. Emily and I had one slip. We never did anything to hurt you. I apologized, repented, slapped myself. What more do you want? I looked at him calmly and said, I'll forgive her. His eyes widened, watching me closely. I continued, Larry, I'm not sure what you're thinking, playing the long game, taking a step back. But I came to tell you myself. Since I've decided to forgive her, I'm not going to bring it up to her again. I hope you do the same, no thinking or doing what you shouldn't. Otherwise, things for you could get way worse than they are now. He was silent for a moment, looking all stubborn and proud. Dave, is it a lack of confidence? I didn't answer. It's not about confidence. People just have flaws. They had to part ways just when things were heating up. Emily's mom wasn't easy on Henry either. Emily's always been a rebel. Even if we make amends, there'll probably be some regret and sadness inside her. Since I've decided to forgive her, I can't let these issues crop up again. I put a card on the stone table. This is $2 million. Consider it a token of appreciation for looking after Emily these past years. Be content, don't aim for more. Henry looked at the card, chuckling quietly. Dave, you're really underestimating me. Me and Emily were connected soul to soul. People like you who just focus on money and profit wouldn't get it. He got up slowly, a faint mocking smile on his lips. No offense, but you just met Emily earlier. Watching him walk away, I felt surprisingly at ease. It was pretty much what I expected. Henry won't let it slide. He's turning down the $2 million 'cause he's after something much bigger. I sat by the hospital bed, watching Emily slowly open her eyes. She'd been feverish for days, looking much thinner. Her high cheekbones and pale lips were telling. She stared at me for a bit, her voice hoarse. I knew you'd come back. I picked up the rice porridge and said gently, You've just recovered. You need to regain your strength. Let me help you with some food. Her sunken eyes were locked on me, looking weak and sad. I'm sorry, Dave. Have you forgiven me? I fed her the porridge, spoonful by spoonful, and she complied, taking a sip, then looking at me. Emily, do you like Henry? Her brows furrowed. Dave. Once the bowl was empty, I set it on the table, sighing softly. I'm not accusing. I genuinely want to know. Her eyes turned red with tears, her voice sorrowful. Don't ask me that, Dave. I'll admit I've been a mess lately, feeling low, insecure, and irritable. I needed you, but you weren't there. And Henry was. The room went silent except for the low hum of the oxygen machine. I lowered my gaze. If you two love each other, I can step back. No, she interrupted, anxiously grabbing my hand, pressing her face into my palm, her voice heavy and somber. I don't know why I acted impulsively that day, but I only love you, have always loved just you. Dave, please forgive me? Seeing her shoulders shake, a familiar image flashed in my mind. It was just like this, face buried in my hand, shoulders lightly trembling. The difference was, that person was laughing, their voice bright and sunny. Dave, you crack me up. My eyes suddenly felt wet. After a while, I gently said, okay. Emily looked up, her eyes sparkling with hope. "Dave, I knew you'd come back to me. Our years of love aren't that fragile." That day, I was just out of my mind. "I'll make plans soon to get Henry to leave." I stayed silent for a moment. Mom's already let him go. She was taken aback, then managed a thin smile. "All right." I stared at her pale face. "No matter what, I've done what I had to do. Emily, don't let me down." I adjusted my work schedule to spend more time with Emily. The new physical therapist was experienced and set a strict rehabilitation plan. Emily's leg got better day by day. She could walk short distances without crutches. She started to feel happier and more confident, a bit of her past self re-emerging. Our relationship seemed to be getting back to where it used to be. In the mornings, I'd wake up to find her watching me, resting on her elbow. She'd smile as I opened my eyes, planting a gentle kiss on my forehead. She felt for me, always stressed with work, and finally got involved again. It's always been her strong point. Her joining in eased my load a lot. She showered me with gifts for all sorts of reasons. She even started learning to cook. The kitchen would be a mess, all this clattering sounds, just so she could make me some braised ribs. Emily's mom was treating me better too. On lazy afternoons, we'd sit by the big window, each with a cup of tea, talking calmly about the past and her daughters. Late at night, I'd sometimes wonder, if life could always be like this, then my choice must have been right. Emily had regular appointments at the hospital for checkups. This time, while waiting outside the specialist's room, we ran into Henry. He was with a guy in a wheelchair, probably as a personal therapist, there for a checkup. The guy was irritable, cursing, and complaining. First, it was about strength being too little, then about speed being too slow. Everyone in the waiting room turned to look. Henry looked down awkwardly, his face flushed, seeming helpless and pitiful. I glanced at Emily. She sat quietly on the sofa, her eyes lowered, looking indifferent. Noticing my gaze, she just turned and asked with a smile, "What do you feel like eating? How about French?" I smiled back. "Let's just go home and eat. The aunt made soup." "All right, whatever you say." She never once glanced at Henry. While Emily was getting her checkup, I stepped out to take a call. The man was still shouting, "If you hadn't insisted on today, we wouldn't have this problem with the other person. You'll pay half of whatever they want." I hung up and met Henry's gaze as I turned around. His lips were tight. His look was a mix of resentment and challenge. The door opened, and Emily's voice came through. "Dave, it's all done, we can go home now." Henry's look shifted drastically. His eyes turned red, becoming soft, hurt, pitiful. Emily didn't look his way, instead gently taking my hand. A month after that, one evening, Emily and I were nestled on the sofa watching a movie. She casually brought it up. "I'm planning to go to H-Town next week for a reunion." I hesitated. "We have a quarterly board meeting next week. I can't get away." She smiled. "It's okay. I can go myself." "You'll be going alone?" "I can walk with just a walking stick now, pretty much like normal." "Don't worry. Plus, I want to take a short vacation nearby." I didn't say anything. She ruffled my hair, smiling. "What? Gonna miss me?" I looked at her, asking gently, "Are you sure you need to go?" Her eyes flickered, hesitating for a couple of seconds. Then she said, "It's just to say farewell to the past, for one last bit of healing." My gaze slowly drifted from her face. "Emily, if that's what you want, I won't stop you." She hugged me, her voice lingering. "Dave, just this one time. I'll explore the outside world a bit, and when I get back, I'll throw myself into the present. Take over the company again. Love you with all I've got. We could even have a kid." Emily packed her things, flying away from this city. She'd video call me for half an hour every night, sending pictures of local sites and lots of voice messages. "Dave, it would be perfect if you were here." Tonight's sunset reminded me of that evening we saw in England. I'm here feeling the grassland breeze. A few names crept into my mind. Wrote them down for future kids. "Dave, I miss you." When Henry sent the photo, I wasn't overly surprised. At that moment, the dinner was in full swing. I was kind of buzzed, squinting, fingers zooming in and out, looking hazily at the photo's content. 3/4 of the frame was taken up by a hotel bed. White rose petals covered the bed sheets. It instantly took me back to the rose petal path I once saw leaving the library. On the nightstand, a white nightgown and bra were neatly folded. It didn't seem dirty or vulgar at all. If it weren't for that familiar cane leaning against the headboard, the photo would actually be quite beautiful. A client came over to toast. I put down my phone, smiled gracefully, and drank. Emily traveled for a month. Through countless photos and videos from Henry, I saw their entire trip. With just a car and a cane, they traveled afar. They watched the most beautiful sunsets, drank the strongest drinks, listened to the most touching concerts. In a village, the two had a traditional local wedding ceremony. When Emily exited the airport, she noticed Dave wasn't in the crowd. Surprised, she asked Dave's assistant, "Where's Dave?" The assistant replied, "Dave had to fly to City S for a project this morning. He asked me to pick you up." Emily felt a tinge of unease. Dave hadn't mentioned this. He was usually meticulous. Surprises rarely happened with him. The project must be important, she told herself. Her phone vibrated. A message from Henry read, "Life's a journey. Take care." She looked up and saw Henry in a black suit in the corner of the hall. He stood there silently, eyes full of emotion. The day she saw him at the hospital, seeing him in such a rough shape, emotion surged within her. But she hid it well and didn't plan to do anything. Deep down, she knew Dave was most important to her. Thanks to their past and saving his leg, Dave had little difficulty forgiving her. Their life got back on track. But 2 days later, Henry suddenly came to her. He looked worn out, tears in his eyes. He shared his struggle after Emily's mom fired him and he was oppressed. At home, his dad and brother abused him. Dave wanted to pay him off. Finally, he choked up, saying he missed her. Her heart wavered. They parted abruptly at the peak of their feelings, leaving regret and reluctance. Henry's eyes were red, his voice broken. "You once said if you healed, you'd take me to see the world's beauty. Emily, do you mean it?" She looked at him and impulsively said, "Yes." Thus began a month-long healing journey. She thought, it's nothing, just saying goodbye to the past. Henry witnessed and helped her through it. Delivering on a promise was fine. That night, after drinking with villagers at a hotel, they had a wild night. Waking up to see him, she felt profound regret. But he was willing. Not for money, not for status, just a brief time together. He only wanted this month. Then they'd part forever. She told herself life is long. She had time to cherish Dave. But for Henry, it was just this month. So she'd temporarily dive in. The red dress, he bought it. He wanted a mock wedding. She agreed. Ultimately, returning to the city would end it all. Dave would never find out. Once the plane landed, they'd part as agreed. Now she texted back, "Take care." She sighed, turned to the assistant. "Let's go. Take me home." Emily was uneasy all day. She called Dave repeatedly, never reaching him. It wasn't until midnight he returned the call. Busy since landing, forgot to turn on his phone. His voice was calm and gentle, nothing different than usual. Yet Emily felt anxious, her voice now tinged with frustration. "We haven't seen each other in so long. Why schedule a trip now? Don't you miss me, Dave?" Whether from bad signal or ignorance, he didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "How was the month of healing?" She laughed, "Of course, I'm feeling much better. Mom dragged me for a checkup. The doctor said I'm basically recovered." On the other end, he responded softly, "That's good." He sounded tired, yawning, as if ready to hang up. Emily quickly said, "Dave, Mom's planning a recovery party Friday. Can you make it back?" "Should be able to." His usual reply eased her heart slightly. She laughed at herself. Everything was normal, yet she was anxious all day, feeling guilty. Luckily, there was plenty of time ahead to atone. That night, she wrapped herself in his scent, made her feel that month, a distant dream. For Friday's party, Mom pulled out all stops. After a long hiatus, it marked her official return. Family and friends gathered, all smiling with wishes. Confident and poised, It felt like her glorious past was back. The assistant said Dave's flight landed an hour ago, and he's on his way. She kept glancing at the door, impatient. Longing for him, she turned, then froze. Henry smiled, walking toward her. She panicked. "Why are you here?" Henry paused. "Didn't you invite me?" Emily frowned. "I didn't. We agreed not to meet again. Why invite you here?" Henry's smile faltered. "I got an e-invite from your assistant. I thought you meant it. Must be a mistake." Emily looked at the door, rushed. "Leave quickly, Dave will be here. Don't let him see you." Henry stood still. The door buzzed with greetings. "It's Dave. Good to see Dave." Emily saw Dave enter, smiling and greeting everyone. Her heart skipped. Memory flashed to their first meeting. At a party, among people slightly awkward but smiling. That day she missed a beat. Now she thought, it's been long since he smiled like that. Forgetting Henry beside her, she approached Dave. "Dave," she called softly, reaching out to him. Dave's smile faded, watching her quietly, contemplating. People knew the couple reunited, leaving space for them. "Dave, I'm so glad you're back," she said, oddly emotional. Dave motioned. The assistant received a folder, immediately handed it to her plainly. "It's the shares and divorce papers. Take a look." Emily blinked, doubting what she heard. "What?" Dave met her gaze. "Emily, I'm ready to divorce." Her mind went blank, unsure how to react. Opening the folder, she saw a shares agreement and a divorce agreement. Pages of clauses with his signature clearly planned for a while. Why? She looked up at Dave, bewildered and incredulous. He pressed his lips together slightly. "Our relationship has reached its end. There's a third person in our marriage. Divorce is inevitable." Emily felt a sudden surge of emotion. "I would give up my life for you. How can you say our feelings have ended?" She seemed to realize something, her face turning to disappointment and anger. "Are you still hung up on what happened last time? Didn't you say we were done with it and wouldn't talk about it again?" A flicker of irritation crossed Dave's usually calm face, but he adjusted quickly, meeting her eyes with his bright, dark gaze. "What happened last time is over, but what you've done in the past month has crossed my line." Emily felt her blood turn to ice. This past month? No, there's no way Dave could know. She and Henry had sworn it was a secret between them, never to be known by anyone else. Each time she FaceTimed or called Dave, she paid attention to every detail, even spending half an hour alone beforehand to prepare. There was no way the secret got out. Guided by a mix of certainty and denial, she stubbornly dismissed his claim. "What are you talking about? What happened this month? I just went on a trip, that's all. I neglected you because I was away too long." Dave furrowed his brows slightly, letting out a sigh. Then his gaze calmly searched and finally rested. He brought Henry, eyes red from crying, in front of her. Emily stared, her hands trembling uncontrollably. Dave linked her hand with Henry's, giving a faint smile. "Thanks to Larry texting photos daily this past month, I've become very familiar with your itinerary. Initially, it was hard to take, but over time, seeing it every day, I grew accustomed. Emily, you saved my life. People have to return the favor. So I'm letting you go. After all, those photos showed genuine affection between you two. So I'm stepping aside, freeing you and freeing myself. I wish you both get what you desire, to truly be together." After saying those words at the event that day, Dave left quietly. From that day on, Emily didn't see him for 3 months. He moved out, cut all contact, and left a message through his assistant. If she signed the divorce papers, he'd show up. Initially, amidst panic and helplessness, she comforted herself. Everything could be fixed. She and Dave weren't like others. They had years of emotional foundation, partner camaraderie, and life-saving grace. Dave had always been infinitely tolerant of her. Didn't he easily forgive her that time at the hospital? This time, Emily did cross the line. She admitted her fault and genuinely regretted it. But it was an act under special circumstances, not like those other women tangled with men outside, wanting it all. She even ended things with Henry before coming back. Thinking of Henry, A wave of indescribable irritation surged through her. She always thought he was a pure boy, struggling against life, despite his simple upbringing. She couldn't believe he'd send those photos to Dave. How dare he? When she confronted him angrily, he cried, saying it was out of love for her. "Emily, you love me too, don't you? Now that Dave is willing to step aside, why can't we be together? You saved his life. You owe him nothing. I love you. I'm willing to be your lover, endure slander for you. Why can't you have the courage for love too?" She found his words overwhelming, her anger soaring. "When did I ever say I loved you? I love Dave. I've always loved Dave." Henry laughed and cried. "You love him? Then when we kissed, when we went wild in bed, you had feelings too, right?" Hearing him repeatedly mention her deep regrets and watching his moving lips, Emily couldn't hold back, reaching for his throat. When the man in front of her started gasping, eyes rolling back, her mother appeared, pushing her away in time. Her mother's eyes were filled with fear. "Are you crazy?" "She's crazy. Every day, she's trapped in unspoken remorse and regret. Unable to sleep at night, she stares blankly until dawn. During the day, she drifts in a haze, constantly thinking of Dave. Thinking of the faint smile on his lips, the pleasant smell of his hair. Remembering how he slightly tilted his head in thought, recollecting him nestled in the sofa, quietly watching movies with her. Now the house feels empty, like a tomb. Often, she wanders aimlessly, like a ghost. The man she chased so hard for, poured her heart into, and nearly sacrificed her life for, didn't want her anymore. With tears, her mother pleaded, "Emily, your father and sister abandoned me cruelly. You're all I have left. You must not act impulsively. If you want Dave to forgive you, truly repent, live sincerely, and do everything you can to win him back. He's a kind-hearted man, and as long as you don't give up, you have a chance." The realization hit her. Yes, she could repent, plead, even beg if needed, whatever it took to get him back. She began to gather herself and live seriously. She made a strong comeback at work, gradually taking over the company Dave left. The deeper she delved into the work, the more she realized how tough those years were for Dave. Surrounded by competitors with no help, how did he manage to maintain the company in such a fierce and treacherous environment, being so gentle and fragile? When he fought alone, what was she doing? Whenever she thought about it, she wished she could slap herself. At work, a naive assistant, unaware of the full story, thought they just had a little fight and suggested extravagantly, "Emily, usually in these situations you should express immense remorse, like standing below his place every day. It's more effective if it's raining. Or fulfill whatever promises you made that you never kept. Or directly kneel and beg for forgiveness. But this is serious. You might not be willing with your status." She was willing. If it brought Dave back, she'd kneel 100 times. But she couldn't find him at all. To chase her husband, she at least needed him to chase. She couldn't even catch his shadow. Emily once tried reaching out to Dave's father. She was shocked to learn his father had retired from business a year ago, sold all enterprises, and moved abroad for retirement. Suddenly, she recalled the day Dave suggested Henry leave. She thought he was worried that once she recovered and took over the business again, it would affect his father's interests. She even assured him generously. He stopped talking then, and she thought it was guilt. How foolish and laughable. These past 3 months, clutching onto deep-seated hope, Emily worked diligently and lived earnestly, waiting for Dave to have a change of heart, waiting for him to come home. One day, she found a photo among her sister's belongings. Her sister Gloria, 3 years older than her, unlike Emily, who was always interested in investing and making money, was a piano prodigy from a young age. By 18, Gloria had won countless awards, with their home filled with photos and trophies from various competitions. In that photo, Gloria wore a clean white dress, playing a duet at the piano with a boy. They both shared a similar temperament, gentle eyes, serene smiles, and slightly flushed earlobes. That boy, Emily recognized at once, was Dave. How was Dave with her sister? Emily met Dave after her sister had been dead for a year. She had no idea Dave played piano. Since meeting him at 20, pursuing him for 5 years, and marrying him for 3, he'd never played for her once. In a state of shock and with a vague sense of premonition, she found her mom. Her mom stared at the photo for a long time and finally confessed a secret she kept hidden deep inside. Dave was your sister's boyfriend. They met at a piano competition and started secretly dating. At the time, your dad and I wanted your sister to pursue a career as a professional pianist, so we strongly opposed their relationship. I even confronted Dave personally and warned him not to get any ideas. When your sister found out, my sweet and obedient child lost her temper at me for the first time. On the day of the car accident, a driver came to pick up your dad for a business trip in a neighboring city. Your sister and I got into another huge fight, and she stormed out in tears and got into your dad's car. Emily stood there frozen like a statue for a long while before dazedly asking, "Why didn't you tell me?" Her mom wiped away her tears. "Back then, you were just coming to terms with their sudden loss, and I didn't want to distress you further. When you started seeing Dave, I had no choice but to approach him again. He agreed to keep the secret. So yes, Dave knew who I was from the start, which is why he kept avoiding me, right?" Emily gave a blank smile. "No wonder he's avoided me for 5 years." Her mom sighed. "When you injured your leg saving him, I realized some things can't be stopped, and Dave was genuinely moved. That's why he agreed to your proposal." Emily locked herself in her room and didn't eat or drink for 2 days. On the 3rd night, she sent a message to Dave's assistant. "I agree to the divorce." She set her phone down, feeling completely drained. When she went to sign the papers at the courthouse, she saw Dave in person for the first time in months. Her hands trembled uncontrollably upon seeing his car. Clearly, he had been doing well. His complexion was rosy, and his eyes were as clear as the sky after a storm. Nervously, she walked up to him. Dave's gaze was calm and detached. Her heart fluttered at the sight of the face she had longed for, and she heard herself say, "I never knew you played the piano." Dave raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised by her sudden comment, and nodded. "Yeah, I learned for a few years back in the day." She bit her lip and finally asked the question that had been tormenting her ever since she agreed to the divorce, something she needed to ask in person. "Dave, did you ever love me?" Dave's eyelashes fluttered slightly, and his gaze suddenly deepened. Emily's heart tightened as she dug her nails into her palm. Many years later, Emily would often reflect on that moment. Countless nights, she'd try to analyze and deduce what Dave hadn't finished saying. Was it love, or wasn't it? He was about to answer when Henry suddenly showed up. Emily's first instinct was to look at Dave. His expression turned cold immediately, and a look of disdain and mockery replaced his previous indifference. It felt like she was falling into an endless abyss, sensing that some things in life were gone forever. That day, she shamelessly took back her decision. She desperately told Dave she didn't want a divorce, that it was all just to get him to show up, and begged for another chance. Dave took a step back, looked at Henry, then at her and gently said, "Emily, if you won't sign, I'll have to go through litigation." Due to Henry's unexpected arrival, her interaction with Dave lasted only 2 brief minutes. Little did she know, that unfinished answer would haunt her for the rest of her life. Even less did she expect it would be her last time seeing Dave. Following new divorce regulations, Dave directly filed for online divorce proceedings. With ample evidence, a firm stance, and reasonable division of assets, everything was smooth. She barely spoke throughout the process, entranced by his animated face on the screen. The court directly granted the divorce, even waiving the cooling-off period. Her mental state plummeted after the divorce. She no longer cared about the company, frequently isolating herself in the house she'd shared with Dave for 3 years, rarely venturing out. Her mom came to inform her that her cousin Larry had convened a temporary shareholders meeting to oust her as chairwoman. Emily didn't react, showing no care at all. Henry tried visiting her, but she refused every time and even hired guards to keep him away. Hearing his voice or seeing his face now inexplicably made her break out in hives. Her physiological aversion meant she couldn't even muster the energy to seek revenge. All she could think about was finding ways to see Dave again. But Dave, despite his courteous facade, had a resolute mind and fierce methods. If he didn't want to meet, then he wouldn't. She missed him dearly. Late one night, she drove recklessly on the highway, calling Dave's assistant and threatening to crash her car if Dave refused to meet. The assistant panicked, telling her Dave had gone abroad and couldn't be reached. In despair, Emily crashed her car into a bridge pillar. Emily survived, but her lower body was paralyzed. This time was worse than before. She completely lost sensation below her waist. In the hospital room, her mom pleaded on her knees. If you won't live for yourself, at least live for me. If you want to die, take me with you. Looking at her mom, Emily slowly said, I won't die, not now, not ever. 6 months later, when Henry's brother attacked him again, Henry suddenly snapped and stabbed his brother with a fruit knife. Though it could have been deemed self-defense in a fit of accumulated rage, he followed up with 13 more stabs after his brother had already fallen. Henry was sentenced to 13 years in prison for intentional harm. One day, sitting in her wheelchair, Emily saw a familiar face flash on TV. It was a high-profile concert. Right in the center of the stage, Dave gracefully played the piano in a tailcoat. It was the first time in 5 years she had seen him, and the first time seeing him play. The music flowed like a gentle stream, and the pianist was breathtakingly handsome. She strained her eyes to capture every second. After his performance ended, he stood up to bow with a smile. A woman, holding a milk-skinned little girl, went on stage to give him flowers. Amidst applauses and cheers, the woman sat beside him, and they performed a 4-hand duet. The ethereal music, like heavenly sounds, seemed to flow effortlessly. Suddenly, she felt a heavy blow to her head. Warm liquid trickled down her forehead. As she collapsed, she saw the panicked servants rushing toward her, and the child who had wielded the Thai mountain stone high above her. In her fading moments, a foggy reminiscence surged. That Thai mountain stone was something she had bought on a regretful trip, a gift to Henry as a token of love. How laughable it was. With such thoughts, she slowly closed her eyes.